Let's stand all over the building and let's give our great God a hand of praise. And now, Father, we pause to express our gratitude to you for being so good to us. And we say thank you because you care. Thank you that you love us in spite of ourselves. Now do what only your spirit can do, and that's minister to your people. Touch this weak vessel and use me for your glory. And do what only your spirit can do, and that's draw, and that's convict and challenge and change. And we'll give you thanks when this day is over. Let all of God's children say amen. In Luke chapter number 8, this morning, I guess I need to tell those of you who are at 10:30 service, I was not going to preach this morning. This was not the text. I had planned on preaching Luke 16, and actually at the 8 o'clock service, I had got up and I had told the church I was going to preach to them a message to my family. And I sit back down because I had wrestled all week with what God wanted me to say. I wished I was like some of y'all. I could always hear God on Sunday evening, and then I know how to prepare for next Sunday, but that don't always work that way with me. I have to pray and wrestle with what God wants me to say, even though I plan my preaching. I do plan my preaching. So this morning I was going to talk quickly about a message from my family, a message for my family, and I was going to use the rich man sending his family a message from hell. Don't come here. But I'll get that some other time. After viewing the tape, and it was very clear to me that in entering into the women's conference, that God wanted me to say something else. And so I went off script, and I'll do it again today. Luke chapter number 8, and here's what it says. Verse 43, but as he went, the multitude thronged him. And now a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who had spent all of her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any, came from behind and touched the borders of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And Jesus said, who touched me? And when all denied it, Peter and those with him said, Master, the multitude throng and press you, and you say, who touched me? But Jesus said, somebody touched me, for I perceive power going out from me. Now when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. And she declared to him in the presence of all the people the reason she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, daughter, be of good cheer. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. You may be seated. I want to talk quickly from this subject, a decision to be healed. A decision to be whole. A decision to be whole. I am very happy for the opportunity to raise this text up one more time. Because on last Sunday, this lady shared the platform with two other people in this text. She shared it with Jairus, and she shared it with Jairus' daughter. But today, I want to talk about her personally making a decision to be made well. And I should say, for those of you who are here today, that real wholeness is really based on not what Christ can do for you, but whether or not you believe he can do it. So many of us don't understand that Christ can do the impossible. But you have to understand that it's not that he can't do it. You got to believe he can. And one of the obstacles that stand in our way is because we've been delayed for such a period of time because we have tried other sources. When you and I try other quote-unquote medically correct things, and that's okay, politically correct things, and that's okay, but then leave the spiritual correct thing out, sometimes our healness is delayed. And in this text today, this woman's wholeness was delayed because she tried the medically correct healing first. I know that's the case because it says that she had been sick for 12 years, verse 43, and spent all of her money on physicians. There's nothing wrong with going to the medical doctor. And there is nothing wrong with going to the clinical counselor. But how many of you know that you can still go to them and walk out of there not whole yet? You can also go to them and they can misdiagnose you. Or you can go to them and they can tell you, give you a diagnosis, and then all of a sudden you go back to them a year later, you find out something they thought they told you that they didn't tell you. Our wholeness really starts with our vertical relationship with Jesus Christ, and then he directs us to the other sources to come alongside of us to get our healing. Watch this. It says this lady had this blood condition, or this issue of blood, or this flow of blood leaving her body for 12 years. That's a long time, 12 years. And what you have to understand, the very life, because life is in the blood, the very life was draining out of her, Deacon Burrows, because of her issue. And I want to say this to those of you who are here at the second service. You are visiting someplace, some person, somewhere, trying to get your healing, but life is still being sucked out of you. I suspect that this woman, after she not only went to the physician, after she had depleted her resources, she had to begin to think differently. She had to begin to think differently. You got to understand that sometimes we don't think differently until we run out of options. Y'all ain't hearing me. Sometimes, Sister Maggie, we got to run out of options before we think differently. As long as we are full and our covers are full and we're vibrant and healthy, our relationships are cute, comfortable, and whole, we don't go to Jesus like we need to go to Jesus because we are satisfied with the means and our needs being met. But this lady ran out of resources. And I want to say this to you today. If you run out of resources, you're in the right place to get your healing. Now, when she ran out of resources, she was depleted. She was depleted of finances, but she was depleted physically. She was depleted emotionally, and she was depleted socially when she ran out of resources. I said she was depleted physically because blood was running out of her body. She was depleted financially because she had no more money. She was depleted socially because she had been labeled as unclean. Is anybody hearing me? She was depleted emotionally because she knew that if God didn't clean her up, she couldn't hang out with her family. She couldn't get her a man, and she didn't even have any friends that much because for her to touch somebody would contaminate them. This lady was depleted. And you may be here today. Don't look at me too strange. You are depleted emotionally. You tired of dealing with a certain amount of people. You are depleted socially. You don't have too many real relationships. You can't shout on that. You depleted financially. You got to rob Peter to pay Paul. You are depleted emotionally. You're looking at me now and you can't even get an amen out because you just don't feel like it because you're depleted. Preach, Pastor. I believe I am. If you are depleted, you are a good candidate to have a desire to try somebody else. And I want to say this, y'all. When you are depleted, you ought to not go into a corner and say, listen, it's been this way for so long. I guess it's going to stay this way. I'm going to drop my head and feel sorry for myself. You know what? You heard the video that you just saw. What was that video, the song that they just played on that video for the ladies boot camp? Greater. If it had not been for the stuff that happened to me, let me say this to you. If it had not been for this lady being broke, depleted, emotionally and socially ostracized, she probably would have never got a desire that I'm going to try somebody else or I'm going to try Jesus because he's my last choice. Come here, y'all. Sit down and talk with me for a minute. You see, here's the thing. The desire to be made well sometimes come when you stop trying to do what you can't do and when you stop trying to draw from what you think you have and then look up to somebody that's greater than you to help you to get through what it is that you're going through. This lady tried Jesus after 12 years. Okay, some of y'all ain't hearing me. You see, some of us, here it is. Some of us don't desire to get well. Some of us like the sickness that we're living in. I went to see Harriet Tubman on Friday night, and one thing Harriet taught me by watching that movie, there were some folk who were born free slaves. There were some folk who was made slaves, and there were some folk who liked being slaves. Come here for a second. But Harriet Tubman was one who was born into slavery, but she didn't want to die being a slave. So she said, guess what? I want my freedom and I'm going to do something about it. Come close, some of y'all. Some of us like being sick. Some of us like being handicapped. Some of us have settled for not being healed. Some of us done settled because we've said, I've tried it. I went here and I tried this and I tried that. But I'm kind of like Harriet Tubman. You know what? I was born this way, and you may own me now, but I'm not gonna I'm making up my mind not to stay in this predicament of being unhealthy, unwhole, somebody else's slave. I believe that God's got something greater for me, and it starts with your decision of wanting to be free. It starts with your decision of wanting to be made whole, and it starts with your decision that I'm tired of trying everything else and I need to try God. Somebody needs to make a decision that I want to be whole. Okay. I wasn't working this hard at the 8 o'clock service, but I guess I'll work a little bit harder for some of y'all because here's what I do know. This lady had to make a decision. Now, second thing I want to say is that it started with a desire. She had to make a decision. And watch this. You got to make a decision when other folk who's on the road with you won't. How do I know? Because watch this, y'all. When you look at verse number 43, I won't be long. When you look at verse number 43, it says, now the woman having the flow of blood was for 12 years who had spent all of her livelihood with physicians who could not be healed, come from behind and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. Number one, you got to have a desire. Number two, you got to make a decision. And you got to make a decision when other folk won't. I'm just going to tell you, everybody who come to church, they don't want to be healed. Everybody who sits on the road with you, they don't want to be free. You know why? Because to make a decision to be made whole means that you got to stop functioning with your dysfunction when God sets you free. Let me knock you down in first gear. Let me get out of third and knock you down to see. This woman had to make a decision because here's what you got to understand, Sybil. Because some people like being handicapped. Some people like the press they get because somebody else hurt them. That's why Jesus, in an illustrated passage in John chapter 5, had to ask the man who was at the pool for 38 years, do you want to be made whole? I want to help some of y'all who are here today. This lady had a desire to be free, but she had went to the wrong source. But then she had to make a decision to try Jesus. And I submit to you that people come to church Sunday after Sunday, but everybody who comes to church don't want to be free. People, let me say this. Hold it before you clap. Some of y'all like nursing, rehearsing, and dispersing your pain. I said some of y'all like nursing, rehearsing, and dispersing your pain. So watch this. So for you to get free, folk won't show you sympathy anymore. For you to be free, folk won't say, oh, so you won't hear, oh, girl, it's all right. For you to be free, you got to put your big girl boots on, and you can't blame nobody else for your pain or your emotional scars. For you to get free sometimes means you got to get off of welfare and stop depending on the government system and food stamps to carry you along. Preach anyhow. For you to be free, you can't keep talking about what another man done to you or what another woman done to you or what you don't like about people. You see, freedom sometimes comes with responsibility, and the reason why a lot of y'all don't want to get free because you can't complain and point the finger at somebody else. You got to wake up in the morning and say, now that I'm free, I got a responsibility to love people. Okay. All right. Okay. I ain't trying to get your amens, but I'm going to preach anyhow. I got done preaching this sermon this morning, and this guy came into my office this morning after I got done preaching this sermon, and I was wondering why I was preaching the sermon. I didn't know why I switched the sermon up at the last minute, and he followed me back to my office this morning, and he said, Pastor Webster, if you don't know anything else, he said, you preached this sermon for me. He said, because for the last 2.5 years, I've been mad, I've been bitter. He said, and I have been so mad and so bitter. He said, I have not picked up my Bible in 2 years. And he said, and I'm just going to tell you that he said, and I wasn't coming to church this morning, but God woke me up and said, go to church this morning. And he said, and here's what I got from your sermon, that I got to make a decision to be made whole. I cannot keep holding on to what they done to me. I can't keep holding on to why they did what they did to me. He said, I can't keep holding on to it. He said, but I got to tell you something. I did not call you back because I like nursing and rehearsing my emotions and my pain. And I liked it to the point that I really wanted to do something about it. But the only reason I didn't do anything about it because God loved me enough to not to let me do anything about it. And this morning I made up my mind that I'm not going to keep nursing, rehearsing, and dispersing what somebody else has done to me. Look at somebody say, freedom comes with a price. And here's what I want to ask. Do you want to be free? I said, do you want to be free? Do you really want to make a decision to be free? You know what? If you really want to make a decision to be free, you got to get rid of some of them girlfriends, and you got to get rid of some of them boyfriends, and you got to get rid of some of those things that's holding you back from your freedom. And I'm not chasing any rabbits right here. Freedom comes with a desire and a decision to be made free. But the next thing, you got to not only make a desire and have a decision, you got to be willing to do something to get free. You got to be willing to do something to get free. Jesus was passing by, and it was a crowd of people with him. And guess what, y'all? This lady was willing to do what no other lady did that day. See, here's the problem why a lot of y'all ain't free. Because you wondering what the person that is thinking that's sitting right next to you right now. Some of y'all are at church this morning, and you know why you don't do anything to be free? Because you're wondering what he's going to think, or what he's going to think, or what she's going to think, or what she's going to think. But here's what this lady did. This lady knew that Jesus was passing by. She came out the crowd, and she kneeled down, and she touched the hem of his tassel. Now hold it right there. Why the hem of his tassel? Because in the Old Testament, you Bible readers know that they said when they would look down at the tassel, it would remind them of the word of God or the law of God. And notice, y'all, she just reached down and touched the tassel. And here's what I believe she believed. If the Old Testament priest's tassel reminded her of the law of God or the word of God, this lady must have knew, if I just got the faith of the grain of a mustard seed, I can touch his tassel and I can be made whole. Or she may knew Hebrew. If I just come boldly to the throne of grace, I can find mercy and grace to be healed in my time of need. So she bent down. Now watch this. Slow it down. Watch this. She bent down, not worrying about looking around. You know why a lot of y'all can't bend down? Because y'all so busy looking around. Y'all looking around at what everybody else think. You're looking around worried about what everybody else is saying. You're looking around worried about what they're going to say once you've been down. But if you really want to get free, you can't worry about what nobody else is saying, what nobody else is doing. You can't be looking around wondering who's on my road, who's going to talk about me. See, you got to get down to where you need to get your healing from God. You got to be willing to go low enough. So I got to move. You got to make a decision, which starts with a desire. Now, I need to just say this. I ain't here to entertain you. I need you to answer the question. Do you want to get whole? Do you want to be free? It starts with a desire, then a decision, then do something. Now, here's what got me, Reverend. Some of y'all are not doing anything because wasn't nobody else doing anything. Hold the stack. Hold the text and put a pause there. Here's what I've learned about church people. Because my sister ain't doing it, I ain't going to do it. Because my brother ain't doing it, I ain't going to do it. Preach, Pastor. Because my mama ain't doing it, I ain't going to do it. Well, let me tell you something. Y'all need to get like the old folk. It's not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, who's standing in the need of being free. And I need to be free from my emotions. I need to be free from my molestation. I need to be free from the envy that I got in my heart. I need to be free from the grudges that I'm carrying. I need to be free from years of pain. I need to be free from church hurt. I need to be free from the bondage that's been keeping me down all year long. You got to say, God, I need to be free. And I've concluded that a lot of y'all will never be free because you're too busy concerned about what the person that's thinking about that's sitting next to you on your road. Can I put it another way? And then I'm gonna give you. Then I promise I'm going to give you two more things and I'm going to be out your way. Why did Luke think enough to write about this lady? He never gave her a name. He just said a woman. Come here, y'all. Why don't you insert your name where the woman is? Come close. Not only was she just a woman, she was a woman with an issue. Now, who's sitting in here today that don't have any issues? How many of y'all are here and you here because you got some issues? Now, I got to go. I don't want to stretch it too long. I want to stretch it too long. But when you learn how to function with your dysfunction, you start thinking it's normal for you to act that way. Can I go back and grab the parallel text real quickly one more time? Jesus said to the man, do you want to get well? Let me tell you something I learned about church people. A lot of us like licking our own wounds. I had a louder amen than that at 8. See, when you start like licking your own wounds, for you to get free, ain't nobody going to pacify your tail anymore. We got some people in it. Talk to me. Can I get a witness? If I'm telling the truth, say amen. When you get free, this is what I told the guy this morning. When you get free, every time you think about what folk have done to you, you got to find some energy to keep forgiving them. If I'm preaching, say amen. Watch this, Sister Emma. When you get free, you can't hold people hostage. Well, you hear me? Sister Jeanette, you see, a lot of us like holding other people hostage because we ain't free on the inside. But when you free them, you can't blame nobody else for how you feeling on the inside. You got to take responsibility for how you're feeling, and you can't point the finger at nobody else. That's why a lot of us don't want to be free, because we don't want the responsibility of waking up every morning saying, I can't blame mama, I can't blame daddy, I can't blame my teacher, or I can't blame the policeman, I can't blame the white man, and I can't blame the black man. What I got to do is wake up each morning and take responsibility for my own freedom and say, I'm not going back down that street anymore, because he who the Son has set free is free indeed, and you are not going to hold me hostage any longer. So I'm making up my mind that I want to be free. I got to go, but I got to just say this. So this lady had a desire, then she had a decision, and then when she done something about it, notice what it says in the text, that immediately, right away, her issue of blood stopped. Immediately. Hey, Jalen, get off your, if you tweet that on your iPad, that Jesus can heal you immediately. Put that on Instagram. I see your head down tapping. Tweet it out and put it on Twitter. Everybody look at me and say, hey, Jalen, Jesus can heal immediately. Jalen up there hiding and tweeting. Don't laugh at Jaden, because you hiding on the first floor. You just ain't tweeting, and you've been hiding your hurt, and you've been hiding your pain, and you've been disguising the way you're feeling. But look at somebody and say, hey, Jesus can heal you immediately. Oh, God, Lee, y'all are insulting God this morning. How many of y'all believe that Jesus can heal you immediately? Don't insult God like that. I said, look at somebody and say, Jesus can heal you immediately. How many of y'all done came into the church carrying grudges, but by the time service was over, he healed you immediately? How many of y'all done came in here, y'all, with pain, but yet before the service was over, he took away the pain immediately? Not yet. How many of y'all came here with unforgiveness, but yet God done dealt with your unforgiveness immediately? Now I say it again. Don't look at me. Look at somebody else and say, Jesus can heal you immediately. Let me run. Let me run. I'm about done. But here it is, Sybil. I believe, Sister White, I believe this, Rhonda, that a lot of y'all don't understand what a little bit of Jesus can do. Mel, you like that one, don't you? Look. But it blew me away. She didn't even touch him. She just touched his H-E-M. She didn't touch the H-I-M. She touched the H-E-M. So if touching the H-E-M will bring healing, what happens when you touch the H-I-M? Here's what I believe, Pastor Allen. And Pastor Allen is going to take care of y'all next week. I got to be out. handle y'all all next week. But here's what y'all got to understand. You got to understand. And y'all be here, amen, okay? Here's what y'all got to understand. This. I don't believe. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Bring your emotions back to where they need to be. Here it is. When y'all come to church, y'all don't believe sometimes that God can work immediately. Can I tell you why? How many of y'all done bought something in and took it back with you? Okay, y'all ain't gonna tell the truth, but just see, some of y'all started out bringing it in and you ain't let it go yet. Preach anyhow. Just preach anyhow, Pastor. I believe I am. You see, the reason why y'all ain't giving, reason why you're not healed, because you keep bringing it and you keep taking it. You keep bringing it and you keep taking it. You keep bringing it and you keep taking it. So 1 year go by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by, 4 years go by, 5 years go by, 6 years go by, 7 years go by, 8 years go by, 9 years go by, 10 years go by, 11 years go by, 12 years go by. But after the 12th year, this woman made up her mind that I was going to go to Jesus and I was going to let him have it. And the moment she let Jesus have it, he was able to take it away immediately. And I know some of y'all are saying, I don't know, can Jesus take stuff away from me immediately? That is a trick of the devil and the lie of the devil, because y'all don't know what he did to me or what she did to me. It don't make any difference what somebody did to you. Look what you did to somebody else. And watch this. You got forgiveness immediately. Preach, Pastor. You got healing immediately. Hello. And if God forgave you when you done it to somebody else, don't you know that God's got the power to help you to get over somebody else? I'm going to lay in the plane. So, Pastor, so it's a desire, it's a decision. It's a desire, it's a decision. It's doing something about it. But then it's deliverance. Her deliverance came, Deacon Burrows, when she did something about it. All right, let me tell you this. Her deliverance came when the lady did something about it. Now, watch this. God ain't going to heal you for Deacon Burrows, and he ain't going to heal Deacon Burrows for you. He's going to heal you for what you do, and he's going to deal with Deacon Burrows for what he do, and then he's going to deal with Brother Smith for what it is he does, and he's going to deal with Brother Mel for what he does. See, here's the problem with some of us. If you wait on God to do for you because Deacon Burrows ain't moved in, God may not do it. But if you want God to do it for you because you are the one that's hurting, you're the one that need help, you're the one that's feeling emotional disconnected, you're the one that's dealing with pain, you're the one that's dealing with grief, you can't come to church and expect God to do for Deacon Burrows what he needs to do for you, because you don't know what Deacon Burrows is going through. Only God knows that. But God knows what you and Deacon Burrows is going through. And if you want your healing, you got to reach out and you got to be willing to touch God for yourself. Now I'm going to land it. Here it is, Sybil. He delivered her. Watch this. He delivered her. But she was hiding even though she was healed. Let me give you this and I'm out. Y'all know why it's so hard to preach to some of y'all? It ain't that God hasn't done anything for you. You healed and you hiding. How many of y'all are here? God didn't heal. Guess what? Hands down. Guess what? For some of y'all, I would never know it. I'm about out your way. You can go ahead and celebrate, but I'm about out your way. Everybody else up here. I said for some of y'all, I would never know it. You know why? Because y'all just like this lady. Jesus healed her and she ran back into the crowd. He healed her and she fit in with everybody else. Can I preach? You know the problem with a lot of us? Because Jesus healed her and she wanted to remain cute. Jesus made her whole and she didn't want nobody to know. See, here's the problem with y'all. Jesus had to turn around and call her out. He said, somebody touch me. Now, see, because what Luke was trying to say to us is that she never would have told it if he didn't call her out. You know what's wrong with a lot of y'all? Y'all too sophisticated. You're too cute. You never tell what God done for you unless God calls some of y'all out. Jesus had to call her out. Now, when Jesus called her out, guess what? He said, somebody touch me. Here's what I like about God. I gotta go. Gianna, he can feel your touch amongst everybody else. Sister Odom, miss you cute to shout. I don't care how cute you are. He can feel you even though you sit next to Sister Allen. And I don't know the other sister's name, but you sit next to her. He can fill you in the middle of all of them. Somebody ain't hearing me. Somebody ain't hearing me. You can be sitting in this church up in the balcony, and you can be wondering what God is doing on the front row. But hear me out. Listen. Just like they can fill him on the front row, Sister Flo, he can get you on the far back row. Somebody ought to hear me up in here this morning. You got to understand that you can't come to church and hide in Jesus' presence. They thought they were saying something to Jesus like, it's too many people here. How you going to know if somebody's touching you? It's too many people here. And that's, and that's how a lot of y'all, there's too many people. God don't know what I'm going through. There's too many people here. Jesus said, look, I know, but somebody touched me. Now, Jesus knew who touched him, but the disciples didn't know. And here's what I want to say. I don't know what you need when you come to church, but God knows what you need when you come to church, and all I got to do is open up this book and preach to you what he's told me, and guess what? He will reach you right where you are. Now here it is, and I promise I'm out. Once Jesus got her attention, she ran, and she fell down. Yeah, she ran, man, and she fell down in desperation, and she testified that I'm the one. I'm the one who touched you, but I'm the one you healed. I'm the one who came hurting, but I'm the one who got the help. I'm the one who was bleeding, but I'm the one now you're blessed. I'm the one who had tears, but now I'm the one who's triumphant. I'm the one who was going through it, but I touch you and you begin to do something to me on the inside. Here's what I want to say, and I'm out y'all way. Once God makes you whole, and I know he done made some of y'all whole, y'all got to stop hiding in the crowd because everybody else is looking cute and cool, and you got to get down on your knees and tell God, thank you for healing me. And here's what I like about God. He looked at her and said, daughter, your faith, go in peace because your faith has healed you. Here it is, and I'm out your way. You know, I'm kind of strange with church members, y'all. Church members, y'all are kind of strange to me because it's amazing to me that y'all are like this lady. God done healed you, and you ain't said anything. He done got you out of jail, and you too cool to talk about it. Not nobody in here. Listen. He done gave you another chance, but yet when you come in, you sing your songs, not y'all. You preach your sermons, and then you take your cool self back to your seat and cross your legs as though God ain't done anything for me. As Cole, you come in here, I always been this way. I've always had it together. I've always had it together. But let me tell you something. When God has done something for you, I don't care how cool, and I don't care how cute you are, you got to get up and you got to tell somebody. And I don't care how pretty they look on your roll, and I don't care who they gossiping and talking about. I just come to church for one reason, and that's to tell somebody that you don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me. Can I get a witness in here? You don't know like I know how the Lord has set me free. You don't know that I was sinking in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very stainly stick within, seeking to rise no more. But the master of the ship, he heard my distinguished cry from the bottom. He lifted me. Now say, am I? If it had not been for the Lord who was on my side, tell me, where would I be? And the reason why that I have to tell my story, because who don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me when I think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he brought me through. My soul cries hallelujah, thank God for saving me. I should have been dead, sleeping in my grave, but God stopped by to lay his hands on me, and I'm so glad that the Lord laid his hands on me. Is it anybody in this room? Don't joke with me now. I said, if there's anybody in this room that knows what the Lord has done for, is it anybody in this room that don't mind telling that God raised me? I Is there anybody in this room that don't mind saying, God save me? Is there anybody in this room that know if God didn't step in, you would be dead, sleeping in your grave, but now you got a mind. I said you got a mind. I said you got a mind. I said you got a mind, and you got a hand praise to lift up your head. Oh, ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting door. Why? Because the King of Glory has come into my situation, and he's turned me around. He's turned things around. I said the King of Glory has come into your situation, and he's turned things around. Give God a hand to praise.